basically organization and personnel. Operations section, the business are the cogs and springs that keep your business moving. You know what I mean by cogs and springs? These are the parts of the watch that kind of, if you look at the back of a watch as it's moving, everything's moving at once, right? Things are flicking there, cogs are spinning. It's all because it's all working one machine, right? Tell me what each one of those cogs and springs is doing in your business. You have distribution, you have sales, you have marketing, you have product acquisition, you have legal, you have all these things. Okay, so I want to know exactly what is going on in your business to make you money. Oh, all in a couple sentences so that it fits on one page. This is the hard part. This section describes specifically what your company makes or provides, how you make it and provide it, the methodology for production, not specifically, but in so many words, try to sum it up as far as your methodology. Your distribution plan, how are you getting your products out to your customers, and anything else that describes the function of your business. Essentially in this section, if someone or something associated with your business moves, if he's going from here to go sell a product to that guy there, I want you to describe that, or at least reference it in this section so when we get to the operations section, you can go into much more detail. Okay, keep turning. Management portion of the business discusses the key personnel in your company, namely the chief, the CEO, the CMO, the CPO, and the CFO. In the executive summary, you want to keep it simple. My chief executive officer, or our chief executive officer is going to be this individual. That's all you need to put. And then if anybody reads that, wants to reference anything as far as if that person is talented, they could either go to the section or go to the appendix. This section will also detail each individual's qualifications for each role and the expectations and responsibilities associated with each position. So, Joe Schmo is going to be my CEO, and his role would be to make sure that management is doing their job, because essentially that's what CEO does. CEO doesn't do anything other than making sure the other three people are doing their job. That's all a CEO does. He doesn't go out on the floor and tell people how to make stuff. He doesn't go out into the field and tell them that he's planning it wrong. He doesn't really leave the office. He's a CEO. He's in charge of those three people. That's all he does. So you'd state that what the role of the CEO is. What is the role of the CFO? Is to organize our financials and so to ensure that we pull a profit. I mean, that's plain and simple. But you just want to show that the person who's reading this, that you have those individuals in place, or if you don't, you understand what is expected of those individuals. Several businesses might have one individual in two separate managerial roles. For these companies, it's very important that the strengths, experience of the individual must be detailed for each role. So you can say that Joe Schmo is going to be my CEO and my Chief Production Officer. And you want to state what that role is for each hat that that guy puts on. We talked about that before, that you can be the three managers on the board, but you certainly don't want to be all four, right? And then you have to describe what hat you're wearing at that time of day. Okay? The personnel section is of a proper business plan differs from the management section in that the roles of the employees and the middle managers are literally just listed as opposed to the executive officers and describing the roles. It's just, you're just going to say we're going to have 2 drivers, we're going to have 4 pickers, and we're going to have 1 farm manager. Okay. That's all you want to break down in this section. You'll go into much more detail later on in the business plan, but this is just the summary. Since most businesses do not have personnel established during the business plan development phase, only the responsibilities and titles of these employees are needed. Driver, get the product to the people in a timely fashion. Okay? Most well-drafted business plans describe what the supervisors will be doing and the number of employees the supervisors will be monitoring. So you could say that the farm manager is in charge of overseeing the daily operations of the business. Okay? And then he will be overseeing 5 employees, 4 pickers and a driver. Just like a management section, the personnel section of the business plan must include a full description of each role, but try not to get too detailed as you're pretty limited on your size on this sheet. All right? Another important section of the business plan is for lenders in long-term business development and exit strategy. This section will basically discuss the phases of the business, the life of the business that you're expecting. Most people want to go into a business, they want to have an exit strategy. They want to know at what point can they leave the business, unlike my father, who has no idea how to do that. He needs to exit the business. He needs to sell it for a ton of money and leave, but he won't. He won't even hire employees. So you need to basically talk about at what point is the business going to change hands or change kind of how it does things based upon the life of the business or the life of the management team. The section discusses the phases of the business, points of expected transition, very important. You're going to talk about after year 5, my coffee will be fruiting, so now my business plan changes to this or whatever. Because for the first 5 years, you were just sustaining yourself until your coffee was ready. Right? Points of expected transition. Once we are making $10,000 off our coffee a year, that's a point of transition. Or 5 years in, or after the manager dies, or you have to write some point of transition. A 1, 5, and 10-year plan and an exit strategy. So you really just want to break down that in the first year, I don't plan on making any profit because I'm just going to be conditioning my soil and getting my land ready for coffee planting. Year 2, I don't plan on making any profit because I will have put all my pumpkins in the ground, and I also spend a lot of time and energy planting coffee. Year 3, I plan on pulling in just enough to break even to cover the cost from my pumpkins. Year 4, I plan on pulling a profit on my pumpkins. Year 5, I plan on expanding my market for pumpkins. And then year 6, I plan on doing exclusively coffee or doing coffee and pumpkins. You see what I'm saying? So you just got to break it down. It's like as it expands and as your business grows, I really want to have a breakdown. Where did I leave off? Oh, all successful businesses grow over time. This is where these growth expectations are detailed, okay? A great way to show growth over time is the addition of employees, facilities, and equipment. So you can really just say, after we're going to make $10,000 a year off coffee, we're going to buy a tractor. That's certainly a point of transition where you're going to be able to cut out the labor costs because you have a tractor or whatever, a picker or whatever. SWOT and GEL tests are useful for determining the business has a potential to succeed over time, and written description of these results of these tests are expected. So go ahead and state in your executive summary that based upon your SWOT test that it seems like it's a good business idea. This section will indicate that the business plan has multiple plans in place if a variety of fortunate or unfortunate things occur. So that's the best, most likely, and worst case scenario. And finally, this section discusses the management ownership exit strategy. This is a description of when managers or owners no longer wish to control or own the company and plans for the future of the company after the exit of one or two or all of the managers. Okay? The most detailed and arguably important section of the agriculture business plan is the financial section. Lenders, agencies, and investors primarily focus on specific cash flow projections, operations budget, expenses, taxes, payroll when reviewing business plan applications. This section uses market analysis data, specific numbers of employees, production costs, marketing costs from other sections to evaluate the profitability of the proposed operation. It is suggested that no over and underestimation should be listed in this financial report, as lenders typically have certified individuals evaluate them before funding is provided, and if these numbers are askew in any way, the application will be denied. So you better make sure that if you're going in for lending for sure, that all those numbers are correct, because they will laugh at you and say, no, that's not right. Here you go, buddy. Come back when you got them all figured out. They're not going to tell you what they are. They'll tell you they're wrong. Separate from the financial plan is a section detailing the use of funds. Okay? In this section, there's a description on where each dollar received from the potential lender will go within the company. Banks, granting agencies, and investors are very interested in knowing exactly where their money will be spent on and how each pile of money allocated for each section of the business plan will be spent. Every dollar that's coming in, I want you to, in words, describe how it's being spent to start up your business. You could state that I'm borrowing $30,000 of the $100,000 that I'm borrowing for my business to pay my salary. That's perfectly understandable. You need to get paid somehow. So incorporate that in words. The final section for the agriculture business plan is the appendix, which contains the documents that show potential success for the proposed business. For instance, letters of potential customers stating an interest in proposed products and services, letters of support for other businesses that will benefit from creating of your new business. That's a big one. Like food delivery companies might benefit from you coming out with a new food product. If you have somebody who's a wholesale distributor that's willing to pick it up and they know that they can make money because you're growing soursop, then maybe they want to write a letter for you, put it in your appendix stating that if you guys were to create a business, we think this is a good idea. And we're a profitable business, so that means a lot. Okay? Letters of support from university faculty, very big. It holds a lot of weight with the lenders. So if you can have somebody from the university say that your idea is an innovative idea, say you're doing tea in Hawaii, oh, would that be so easy to get Stuart Nakamoto to write a letter saying that he thinks that if you grew tea in Hawaii, that would be a darn good idea, because he's been trying for 10 years to get tea off the ground. He's a professor. It holds a lot of weight. Okay? Faculty or organization of the business is using grant funding, quality-specific and market research data. Please have that in your appendix. Please have a logo. Come up with something simple. It's a logo for your company. And I found that most of my students find that that's actually the funnest part, is designing a logo. Like, you think it's easy, but you could spend a lot of time on a little picture with 3 colors on it, okay? So, but after it's all said and done, you're proud of it, and you're like, wow, this image really represents my company, and you really feel it, and then you hope that other people can feel it as well. With the branding is super important. Logo and branding graphics and sample marketing tools are just a few of the documents included in the appendix section, okay? All right. What time is it? 8:23. Executive summary handout. All right. You guys want to go early, or do you want to do an activity? Shane, what do you think, buddy? All right. Okay, let's just do this at home. It's not really all that big of a deal. It really just helps you kind of build a vision statement on this first one. If you look at the interview exercise, essentially this exercise helps you envision the kind of company that you will want and don't want in terms of products, services, customers, and the work environment. Sometimes it's easier to answer questions on the right first, having your planning partner lead you through the exercise. As far as your vision statement goes, your vision statement should be able to describe three characteristics of your product and service. Or it'll help you get to that point. You can actually describe 3 things your product or service won't do. Okay? Try to incorporate that in your vision statement. Describe 3 characteristics of the best current and potential clients or customers. Like I say, what? Old, rich, white guys? But, you know, really, honestly, just have a really good description of your customer. Maybe not stick to 3, maybe do 10 characteristics that really would show you who your customers are. And then incorporate those customers into the vision statement. Describe 3 characteristics of successful business that you adhere and would like to emulate. What?
A business as you admire.
Oh, sorry, admire. What did I say? Adhere. Okay. Successful business as you admire and would like to emulate. So, any large businesses, small businesses, local businesses that you'd like to somehow do what they're doing? What are they doing right? Put that in here, and how can you incorporate that into your business plan? On the back of that sheet, a template for a first draft, very simple, for you to help design your vision statement. Please don't use that as your vision statement, but use it as kind of a jumping off point. So fill in the blanks. It's pretty elementary, but fill in the blanks, and then, of course, in step 2, let's rewrite the vision from above. And on the bottom, write a wildly optimistic, no limits, outrageous vision statement, and see if you can incorporate some of those ideas into your vision statement. That company knows they're not going to feed all the homeless and unemployed or get them all jobs, but they state that they want to. Okay? That's no limits, an outrageous vision statement, to say the least. Okay? The next activity, God, I almost want to do this now. It's an exercise. It takes about 30 minutes. It takes a while. I don't want to do it. But basically what it is you get together with another individual. And as the interviewer, the one on the column on the left, you're going to state why, for example, will your customers buy your company's products and services? You're going to state that. And you're going to say that to your partner. That individual will then write down what they heard you say in different words, and you'll realize that you're not as good as expressing your ideas as you hoped, okay? Especially when it comes to your business. So the goal of this exercise is to be so good at describing your business that there's no confusion going into the ears of and understanding of the other individual, okay? The less words, the better. Specifics, okay? So maybe try this activity at home when you come up with, you start doing your executive summary, or maybe if we have time later on in the class, we could do this as a group. But it's really a great exercise in learning that what you say is not what other people hear. And you really need to be good at fine-tuning that when it comes to your business plan. And then we have an experiment with 1 to 6 keywords that describe why your company exists. Company exists from your customer's standpoint view. Compare your competitive marketing edge and unique selling proposition. So it's essentially trying to get, I guess, not necessarily, well, I guess it's the question at the bottom. How does the mission of your business support your vision? Just kind of go through this when you're drafting your executive summary, and it'll be beneficial. When you're looking, this is the one-page business plan. So this is what you would write up if you weren't doing lending, but you are doing lending. But if you, for this outside of this class, want to do a one-page business plan, this is basically how it would be structured. On the back, they help break it down into bullet points as far as like markets and customers, growth, what are your plans for the future. This just gives you an opportunity to get your ideas down, and then you sign it. You sign it at the bottom. You do a one-page business plan, and then you put your signature on it, stamping, this is it. This is it. It's not going to change. No matter what happens, it's not going to change unless I hit a point of transition, and then it can change. So stick with if you write a business plan, whether it be funded or one-page self-funded business plan, the key is you got to stick to it. What's the point of doing it if that somewhere along the way you steer from your plan? I mean, a plan's a plan for a reason, and it's set up as a structure, and especially if you get lending, if you get funded for something, you better not change the business plan, because your lending agency, especially if it's an investor, angel investor, is going to want to know why, and then you got to justify it. It's a pain in the butt. Just stick to your regular plan, all right? What else do we got here? I lost my mouse. There he is. All right, so next class, we're going to go over my favorite section. I'm going to talk for 4 hours on sales and marketing. This is actually really fun. It is fun. So be ready for that. Like I said, I'm planning to put up the videos as soon as I can. Hopefully, the folks in the class are going back and watching the videos too, because you can catch up on something you might have missed or something, okay? Any questions as of right now? Hold on. One more thing. You're awake, right? Here, make sure everybody gets one of those. These are unofficial, official schedules. I don't plan on these dates changing. I don't plan on these subject matters changing, but I gotta say as a disclaimer, it's not official yet. I haven't turned in all the paperwork. But as it looks right now, the classes that we'll be offering after this will be as follows, okay? Saturday, October 5th from 9 a.m. to 1:15 p.m. You guys can meet with Zach Mermel and talk about integrated farm management. People who are in the first class know Zach. He's created a very, very nice class talking about integrated farm management. So how to manage your farm in conjunction with your neighbors, with your IPM program, really just kind of organizing your farm management skills. Very beneficial. I strongly recommend do that class. Tuesday, October 8th, I'm going to be teaching a Hawaiian natural farming class. This is just an introduction. This is PowerPoint presentation talking about what natural farming is and why it's used and some of the kind of background behind it. These are for folks that really have absolutely no exposure to natural farming. If you feel that you've had some exposure, you may come to this class and be bored out of your mind. You may actually learn something. I don't know what you know. Either way, KPFA pays for these classes for you, and they're free, so just show up. Give it a try. So anyway, that's a Tuesday evening. And then we'll go on Saturday, October 19th. I'm going to do 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. This is going to be at the UH Farm currently as it stands, but I'm not giving locations yet. But we're going to go over amendment production. So I'm going to make IMO 1, 2, 3, and 4. I'm going to make FPJ. I'm going to make fish amino acid. I'm going to make water-soluble calcium. I'm going to make a whole bunch of stuff that we use for natural farming. Okay? I'm just going to make it. And then later on that day from 2 to 6, I'm doing a separate class, which is application. How to apply it, at what ratios, when, where, and why. Okay? Sounds like you guys are interested in that one. All right. Tuesday, October 22nd, I'm going to have Stephen Chang from the Small Business Agriculture Incubator. I don't know what the hell the acronym is. He's over at CTAR, and basically it's a grant-funded agency where they help local farmers with their financial skills and cost of production, all these cash flow sheets, the things that would be in your financial section. I'm going to have somebody come out and actually go over those with you with a fine-tooth comb so that you understand what is entailed in your financial section of your business plan. Yes, it's after you guys already turn in your stuff. But remember, this is just a learning experience. You know, by the time you're done with the whole program, you will have you totally understood the finances if you attend this class. Okay? That's on a Tuesday evening, PowerPoint presentation, pretty engaging. Stephen can be kind of engaging. It's numbers, folks. Bring some coffee, okay? But at the same time, he'll give you a bunch of handouts, pamphlets, Excel spreadsheets that really help you organize yourself. And when you're done, you will be so much better off than after I got done with you, because where I succeed at marketing and sales, I do fail at finances. So if I don't fill in the gaps well enough, Stephen Chang will certainly do that with his class, okay? And then we're going to do the 26th, 9 a.m. to 1:15. Zach's going to go over a day of composting. We actually brought that up today. Really building the right kind of compost for the right situation, what materials go in, understanding your carbon to nitrogen ratio is huge, understanding aeration. And so Zach's going to go over a whole day on composting. I guarantee it won't be boring. I really like composting. And then he's going to take a break and then have a 4-hour lecture on organic certification. Zach was on the HOFA board. He was on the Hawaii Organic Farmers Association board. He was an inspector for organic certification. Nobody really knows more about getting certified in Hawaii than Zach for organic certification. So he can break it down. He'll get you all set up with all the paperwork and get you rolling. And after this class, you'll realize as far as added value goes, that stamp is worth a ton if you're willing to go through the hoops, stay up on the paperwork. And you got to remember, when it comes to organic farming, farm record keeping is super important. So if you're not a person who keeps daily records or can keep hourly records, then maybe you're not, a candidate for organics. Who knows if you are? Maybe he can help you break it down so that gets you in a mode so you're doing it on a regular basis. So attend that class and see if that added value is worth it to you. Okay, so that may be a long day for you folks. Saturday, November 2nd, 9 a.m. to 1:15. Going to meet up at the piggery that we went to for the class. And it's more of like a very in-depth talk about the swine production. If you missed anything or feel that there's some gaps in that you didn't get answered through our field trip, then sit down with Mike and he'll do a lecture on that for, 4 hours and 15 minutes. And then we're going to do a night of accessing resources. That's the one I referenced. So we're talking about FSA. This is an organization, federal organization, that gives out loans to businesses, agriculture businesses. Okay, you have to qualify, but there are many avenues to getting lending through them, whether it be through a farm loan to try to get a farm or try to get property, or whether it be an operations loan, which is probably what most of you folks would be involved in. And that's really just getting a loan to get your business going, right? It's to buy equipment and put up structures and pay employees, right? Also, Layla JLC is going to be here from NRCS. She's going to tell you how she could possibly help you put up hoop houses and fencing and water troughs for your livestock and that kind of thing. So whatever services the government said that she can hand out, she will tell you what is available to you. Okay? Don't forget this sequester exists, and it did put quite a cap on a lot of things, but there's still a lot of programs available. Turning it over, Saturday, November 9th. Got a day of plant propagation with Zach. Okay, the best way to save money as a farmer is to do your own seed storage or seed production, or at least doing cuttings, graftings, ensuring that your fruits in a timely fashion. Especially if you want to do orchard cropping of any kind, you better attend this class. Okay, so we'll go over air layering, seed production, all that stuff. The 16th, natural farming chicken production. That's the date that we're going to build the Hubble Bubble chicken coop at whoever decides to either win or hand off their winnings for the highest rated, most comprehensive business plan in the class. So once we figure out who that individual is, we'll see if it's okay if we can bring the group out there on that date and then build a natural farming chicken coop, show you how it's done, why it's done, and all that good stuff. So that'll be Michael DuPont doing that. And then the last day is Saturday, November 23rd, just before Thanksgiving. And that's 2 to 5 p.m. here at HCC. And you're going to look at a PowerPoint presentation with Norman Aaroncon. Dr. Norman Aaroncon is the sustainability professor up here. He's the horticulture professor at UH. Very, very close friend of mine, and just a damn whiz when it comes to plants, especially when you're talking about like hormones and physiology. So when you're talking about weeds,